Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another check-in. I have so much great news to share with you this week. I've got lots of free downloads, lots of giveaways, lots of education. I'll also be going through all of my data for my week's fat loss progressions. I'll be talking about potentially which shows I'm going to be doing, and then also answering your questions from YouTube, which there are many. So thank you everybody who has submitted questions. I really appreciate it. It's so great to know that you guys are enjoying this series and taking a lot of that away to apply to your own goals, which is ultimately why I do these. So before we dive into all the good stuff, I want to give you back the free stuff. So first and foremost, let's pop over to, my book. So many of you have been enjoying learning, and I think that is pivotal in your capacity to sustain your goals long term. So it's great to follow somebody along, kind of mimic what they're doing, copy a little bit, and go through the motions, but to really learn how to apply scientific principles to your own training and then be able to sustain your health and fitness goals long term for a long time. I'm thinking about health span. Then you want to really get to the bottom of the education. So on my website, and you can access this link in the description if you are watching in YouTube, you can get 2 free chapters just to get a bit of a taste of how I write, what I talk about, and then how to apply these to your own training. Now, the first 2 chapters that I think I give you are how a muscle actually grows. And then I also think I talk about what are the realistic rates of muscle growth naturally? And again, it is founded in science. I reference tons of different research to kind of help support all of those conversations and discussions. So if you'd like to get those 2 free chapters, please go and check this out. All you've got to do is pop in your details and I will send you a copy of those 2 chapters. And if you like the book, keep reading. You can go and access the rest of that book by heading over to this particular link, which you can purchase and download the entire thing. Now, speaking of growing muscle, obviously there's the practical implication. So obviously there's the education side, and then there's I just want to do, tell me what to do. So I have also made available Miss Bikini Olympia part 1 for free for anybody. So if you are a lucky subscriber to our new training app, or if you've been involved in any of our company challenges, so our Be a Body, DIY or coaching challenges, then you will have subscribed to our previous app and you would have been following me right along doing my part 2 program, and I have a brand new part 3 going out this week, which is super exciting. But if you aren't subscribed or you haven't been part of those, then you can still get this free program. But I'd obviously welcome you to join. We do have a challenge coming up in the next couple of days. So by the time you see this, you will still have time to register if you want to get involved in spring into summer. This is our 12-week DIY challenge, but there is also an option to upgrade and work with one of our expert coaches where you'll have a little bit more support. Obviously that one-on-one weekly interaction, which tends to go a little further in terms of getting best results. But I will talk a little bit more about the DIY challenge spring into summer at the end of the video. I want to focus on the training. So you can download my program. Now it is provided in an Excel sheet. So it's going to look something like this. It's not amazing. I guess everybody prefers to get their workouts in app form, which we do have. But when it's free, it's going to be in, the Google Sheets, which is where I basically start creating the programs. And then we kind of move them over into our app. So you can get a download by clicking this link. It's got all the exercise demonstrations. So if you aren't familiar with movements, you can see all of those and a host of other things. Free worksheets. Okay, so if you've been following along this journey, lots of you will have seen my pretty comprehensive client tracking sheets. Now, these are the sheets that me or myself and my team use with our one-on-one clients. They are, they look something like this. You can see them on the screen here. So they are also available for free download. You've just got to come over and pop your details in and away you go. So that is really accessible. Now, the downside is you've got this really fancy sheet, but how do you use it? That's when you subscribe and work with one of our coaching team or myself. I still do one-on-one coaching. So if you are interested in working with a coach and really really taking your health and fitness to the next level, then, we would love you. I would love you. So you can also head over to our website and click on the links about our one-on-one coaching options. So you can see here there are challenges, group coaching, and personal one-on-one. So you can grab that there. And then I think the last thing, is there anything else that I wanted to show you? Yes, we have a free, accessible to all grocery list, which has all of my recipes. Now, this week, I'm sad to say I haven't got anything new to add, and I will talk about why. I'm a big proponent of making sure that I have new recipes as often as possible to stay adherent to my measly, poverty-stricken macros that I'm on right now. It's just amazing being on 1,300 calories. Said no one ever. But, this week was really, really busy for me, and I didn't even have an opportunity to do really any meal prep. Like I said, I'll talk about that when I look at my data for the week and express my frustrations with my own prep. But that said, there's lots of pages, 23 pages here of recipes, guys, that I have personally used in this prep that will help you hopefully obtain the health goals, low calorie, delicious, easy, simple recipes as well. So again, all the links are listed in the description. And I guess they look something like this. They're spread out and there's lots of them. So go and check those out. So over to my week and my data. So last week I was terrified. I don't know whether you were terrified, but I was terrified because I had gone from 133 pounds right before leaving for my trip to Australia. So you can see here, I'm highlighting that data now on the screen. And again, I've kept it all bold so that you can see everything, which was great. So I'm probably at this point, maybe 3 or 4 pounds away from being stage ready. I take my trip to Australia. I intend on having a diet break, and I don't track. I tracked mindfully. I was cognizant of the caloric density of the foods I was choosing. If I was going out, I make sure that I didn't go out at multiple meal occasions. If I knew that we've got a dinner plan with my family, then, I would make sure that I have lighter protein-rich options, fiber-rich options during the morning. And then I'd save most of my carbs and fats for dinner, have a cocktail, have a glass of wine, a bit of a laugh with mum and some friends. So I believe that I did very well when it comes to my caloric consumption. Now, it might have been slightly over on some of the days when we were having, I don't know, let's just say a cheese platter, a charcuterie board, and champagne mimosas for breakfast. That was pretty consistent for some of those days. But I trained my butt off. I still did everything else that I needed to. I got all my steps in. The only difference was that I was just not tracking macros. And then my eating frequency, my meal timing, 100% changed. I was doing 2 meals a day, maybe 2 and a snack. And, that was kind of what I did to modify my overall caloric intake. So I didn't come home like a roly-poly, which is not ideal in the terms or in sense of competing. Now, if I was not competing right now, I wouldn't be saying roly-poly because I would be totally happy to come home and have gained a little bit of body fat, and all in, I guess, the essence of having a great experience with my family. Totally fine with that. And one of the things that I know I've worked really hard on over the years is just improving my body confidence, improving my self-image, wherever I am at on, the spectrum of weights that I am going to be across the course of my life, I'm good. So my mindset was not always like that. If you are brand new to this channel, I struggled with an eating disorder for about 15 years and then did about 5 years of consistent weekly therapy to kind of get through that, and lots of self-development. I have a smorgasbord of books and things that I, made an effort to read, and audible books to listen to really get me to a place where, whether I'm competing or whether I'm sitting, at 20% body fat, I'm good. I'm so good. I just really, I'm good in me and my value. So anyway, let's scroll down to when I got home. Obviously, I was 140 last week. We talked all about that, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit stressed, but I also talked through in that video all the things that can contribute to weight on the scale going up that aren't necessarily measures of body fat. And what is so cool is look at my trend in weight this week. So I got back to just trying to hit my normal macros. And here we are. So 140, 138, 136.6, 135.2, 134.8, 134.2. And then again today, I weighed in at 134.2. But yesterday was a non-training day, late night, travel. It was just a tough day, but I'll talk more. So anyway, the trend is back down. I have lost from start to finish, 6 pounds. And again, that's not because I gained 6 pounds of body fat and lost it all within a matter of 6 or 7 days. That is just due to shifts in fluid balance, shifts in dietary fiber, again, influenced by sodium, influenced by food choice, influenced by stress, influenced by cytokine production due to training, like all of those things. So back to where I needed to be, which is very, very reassuring. I say that like this. I'm human just like the rest of you guys, definitely not a robot. I was so worried. I really was, even though I know up here all the things that were probably contributing to that weight. And I also had my period too, which was really fun on a 17-hour flight across the globe. So that's my weight. I'm not back down at the weekly average that I was yet, but I have consistently for the last, basically, you can see here, 5 days, 6 days, I've been in the 134s. So my average doesn't show it yet, but this week it will. So I'm feeling really comfortable about that. But lots of things that I can improve on and need to change when it comes to my diet if I want to get that last little bit of body fat off. I think I need about 4 or 5 more pounds, a couple more kilos to be ready for shows. And I'm going to talk about shows today. I finally pulled up the NPC schedule and was like, you need to just bite the friggin' bullet and pick a damn show, Holly, or you're not even going to compete this year the way that you're going. And again, that's not out of it's not out of fear or worry. It's definitely out of procrastination, but not because I'm procrastinating doing a show. I have just had so much stuff going on. And you know what? I actually saw a video post on my social media, and I guess shout out to a colleague of mine who, I guess she was in the middle of writing a course, Dr. Gabrielle Fundero. Some of you may know who she is. I guess she's got a PhD in gut health, and she now works a lot on mindful eating practices, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, she was writing a course, and I saw her put a post up, and she's like, hey guys, I'm really sorry. I'm actually delaying the launch. I need a mental health break. I don't want to burn myself into the ground, and I can feel myself getting burnt out. And I am actually just wanted to let you guys know. I know I promised to deliver this on this date, and I'm rescinding, I'm rain checking. It was a really great post. And I saw that and I was like, good on her. I struggle with that all the time, and I think one of the things that it's been kind of beaten into me in the nastiest of ways, but now I try to have that mentality or this new approach, but I try to do it from a place of kindness and compassion as opposed to just criticism, which is how this was kind of communicated and delivered to me. But I hate the idea of over-promising and under-delivering. And I think, again, if you've followed me for a long time, I absolutely struggled with perfectionism, people-pleasing, a little bit of OCD because of all of that. And when you try to people please, you often just take on too many things. You say yes, 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 and then it's hard to keep up with it all. And I think, in my experiences over the years, I have definitely been in a position where I have over-committed and not been able to deliver exactly when I said I would. And at least over the last couple of years, and I've almost had to, in this rebuilding phase, starting businesses again from the ground up, creating apps from the ground up, writing new books, trying to get back my posse of stuff. I've really tried to make a commitment to myself more than anything, that if you say you're going to do something, Holly, just you do it. You don't procrastinate. Make the changes, make adjustments to your schedule, to your lifestyle, and show up because it's important to you, because you value that integrity and and delivering on time. So with that being said, I have definitely felt a lot of pressure, I guess, since going back to ground zero, which is truly what it has felt like, in getting back what I lost. And it has definitely, I love what I do. I think you guys probably know that. I love what I do. I love coaching. I love creating. I love developing. I love progression. I love evolution. I love growth. All of those things are tick, 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 ding, 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 like little fireworks going off in the background. but it can be really exhausting. And, I think this week was probably one of the first weeks where I have woken up in the mornings. Now, I did talk a little bit about waking up feeling a bit, overwhelmed or stressed. And in this week, at least yesterday, and again, I think it's just when you're tired, like all those feelings are exaggerated when you're fatigued. So I'm trying to, not let those emotions or those feelings kind of dictate or change my actions and my behaviors. But I definitely felt like I had a lot of doubts in myself. Doubts that I could get this app finally released, doubts that I can continue to, run a business and have a career in nutrition and exercise science, and just doubting everything that I do. Like, you can't keep doing research. Like, it's no one's going to take you seriously, or you can't keep doing podcasts. Like, no one cares anyway. You're a female. Like, what do you know? Like, no one, no, like, truly, I feel like sometimes no one listens to women. It's just really, really frustrating. So anyway, lots of all those negative doubts about my contest, doubts whether I should do the competition, doubts as a business owner, doubts about being a good leader to the people in my team, and we have a good team. So, to make sure that you show up for everybody and meet everybody's needs, it's just so hard. So, yeah, I think kind of taking this back to the video that I saw from Gabrielle, every part of me wants to take a little bit of a breather. Like, I wish I could just stop or slow down. I'm like, was choosing a competition right now the smartest thing? But, yes, it's hard, but I don't know that I would change it. I think I really enjoy, I enjoy pressure, and I like seeing myself, rise up and like live up to the challenge. So it is really hard at the moment trying to do everything. And I definitely feel exhausted. I'm not going to lie. I think so many people are like, oh my God, your physique's looking amazing. Like, I'll run into people in the gym and they'll make comments. And like, I can appreciate a nice compliment like the rest of us. But it's also like, it just gets my wheels and my mind turning. I'm like, what's actually really important, in the big grand scheme of things. So it's at least gotten me to a point where I'm starting to think about, how hard do I push? How many more things do I keep striving for? Like, when is it going to stop? So these are the thoughts that I've had this week. And I know it's just because I have a lot of things kind of in the fire right now. But anyway, I've totally procrastinated. I know I need to get back to focusing on my data. So let's do that. Okay, my screen even went dead because I was talking so long. So, nutrition. I was a little bit over my compliance this week, so 5% over my goal calories. So I came in on average at 1,400. And again, just to recap, I will show you what I was trying to hit by highlighting this week here. So I was meant to be at 1,335. So 125 protein, 130 carb, and 35 fat. So I came in a little bit under on protein and a little bit over on carbs and fats. Now, a couple of things to note here in terms of all of this tracking data. I don't feel good about this data this week. I think that it is probably calorically okay. It's still in the ballpark. But I actually ended up transitioning between apps. I mysteriously wasn't able to log into my app the other week, so I am transitioning into a new app, and I didn't realize how crappy the unpaid versions were. So I've got like, when you sign into MyFitnessPal and there's like ads everywhere. Oh my God. When you're used to like a nice clean screen with no paid ads or anything like that, no marketing, it was quite like, my mind was just like twitching a little bit as I'm looking at all these friggin' ads. So, just even navigating, like putting in all of the foods and searching for things, it was just an adjustment this week. And my app that I am working on is not ready yet. So I can't even kind of test Be a Nutrition. So we'll get to that eventually. So I think I'm going to have to go to like a paid upgraded version. which is very exciting. But it's also just it's a navigational shift. It's a change, and that change feels really uncomfortable. So this week, I definitely found it harder to, or I had less motivation to track my foods. What I found was because I was not wanting to pick up my phone and track, or because my phone was in my computer room, I'm uploading stuff, and then I'm out there needing to also prep meals, and I'm on a really limited time frame. I was like writing stuff down on paper that just didn't compute. It's just making extra work for myself by like having it written, and then I'll have to transfer it over later. And because my macros are so low right now, to think that for a second I can get away with just kind of tracking my macros at the end of the day and going, oh yeah, what have I got left? Get real. Like, they're so low. I have to kind of track as I'm going, just to make sure that I'm not going over my targets, and that I get to the end of the day and I have nothing left. Or like, oh, it's dinner time and whoops, I didn't track my macros at lunch or breakfast or my snack. So I've gone over. So that was really frustrating this week. I also found so much food boredom, food fatigue again, and I've chatted about this in previous weeks about the importance of making sure that you are investing time into food meal prep and recipe planning. That will allow you to be consistent, because you're going to show up and be like, yes, I've got that new meal for lunch today, and you're motivated to eat it. Whereas if you're like, salad again, like, it's not very exciting and doesn't make you want to show up and eat that meal. So this past week, again, due to very limited time, I didn't get to freaking meal prep properly. I got a couple of things done, like mostly just the protein sources, which amen to making the time to do that. I didn't have time to kind of make things into like nicer meals or do any other prep, which is really frustrating. So I relied a lot this week on shirataki noodles, palmini noodles. I had a little bit of leftover zucchini noodles, and then the high fiber wraps was basically what was getting me through the week this week. So as far as from a micronutrient perspective, my diet sucked this week. Yes, the dietitian didn't eat her veggies this week. It sucked. So, it's like, I've got to make a choice. I had so much filming to get done because I took the week off when I was away. I ran out of content basically, I don't know, sometime middle of last week. So I had to get a filming day in, and because we've increased our cadence of posting. So I used to post like 2 or 3 times a week. Now we're posting 4 times a week, which is great. To try and keep up with social media these days is horrible. I know that a lot of you watching are probably coaches, or you have a business that functions on social media, and there is so much pressure to do content all the time, and it's exhausting, and it's very, very mind taxing. So during my free time, so like if I pull up my schedule, here's good old Holly's schedule. That's what I've got planned. And then you can see here, there's only one time through the week where I've actually got content writing scheduled off. Now, that is not really the reality of my program or my weekly schedule. This caption writing, at least for last week, bled over to Tuesday after coaching, Wednesday after coaching. So you can see I'm finishing around 11 p.m. This is 11 down here. So, these couple of hours we're finishing off and tidying up notes. And what was kind of annoying was, again, just trying to adapt and evolve to Instagram. My longer form content that you guys probably see on YouTube doesn't perform on Instagram. They want 15 seconds, and I just want to strangle Instagram when it comes to I guess my career and anybody else that has like a career where there's like context and education required, because I don't believe that you can deliver a valuable piece of information for somebody in 15 seconds when you're dealing with like scientific research. So, or like adding some context, like you could hear me say a snip of this, but if we take it and apply it over to here in fat loss, if we take that same snip and apply it to somebody with an eating disorder, or we take that same snip and apply it to, whatever else, or think about all the different population groups that exist, it could be completely wrong or harmful. So I can't stand Instagram. I really hate it. I have made many posts where I've said, I'm done, I quit, guys. I'm just going to live over in the land of long form content in YouTube. But this week I had double the work cut out for me because I basically have all of my long form content, which I kind of write ahead of time. And then I also had to try and condense it into a shorter form for Instagram. So it's like writing double the work. So I had that. I also had to film some training. I had some recipes that I had to record. So, my entire weekend, like both Saturday and Sunday, I got up at like 7:30, got cracking on some writing, making some little tweaks and adjustments, recording voiceovers, doing a couple of hours of recording my training. Then the next day it was show up and do the recipes. And make sure that I've got all the recipes in this new freaking app, which was so time consuming. Like by the end of Sunday, I'm just like, well, there goes the weekend. So yeah, I just feel like I am just constantly chasing my tail a little bit at the moment. And I know some of you guys are probably feeling the same. You might not be doing a bodybuilding show, but maybe you've started a goal. And it might not even be related to your fitness. It could be related to your financial health, wealth, or like a personal goal. It could be starting a hobby. I had one of those once. I've just let it go. It was the piano and the singing. And I just feel like I can't get ahead. So look, I think there are going to be periods of life where we have these sprints. There is just a lot going on, and we just have to be, compassionate to ourselves, kind to ourselves, give ourselves a little bit of grace. Like if you're busting your ass and you're running out of hours in the day, like don't beat yourself up. Like you're doing everything you can. So it's just about modifying our expectations. And again, that's one of the reasons why I didn't commit to a show in, end of March, because look what would have happened. So, I think I wanted to give myself a little bit of time and grace, and that's not something that I normally would have done. So yeah, I feel like this past week wasn't great in terms of my mental health. It definitely suffered a lot this week. I also had to make a quick flight and trip back to Tampa, where all of my physicians are. Since moving to Fort Lauderdale, I have just been like buried in my office and haven't really had time to explore the, the medical things that you would normally do. So everybody is still back in Tampa. So, I had like an annual appointment that I had to show up for. And so I went back for 24 hours, and just like those little extra things, they're just time consuming. So thankfully I still got to sit on the flight and, do some work, create my new programs, do some emails and stuff. But, just feeling like I cannot keep up at the moment. And I'm hopeful that things will start to slow down after this week when the app has launched. So anyhow, tracking was really hard this week. I am probably going to be doing a Walmart grocery order this week. I think my chef gets back on the 1st of April, which is not until next week. So I have zero support in the kitchen, which I would have gladly, spent money on. I think about, okay, what is the cost to get a chef and somebody to do that work for me? And I think about what my hourly wage is versus that hourly wage, or what I'm going to cost, what's the cost to do that? So it's not just think about it, if I do it, what's the cost for my time? Could I be working instead? And often that equation works out more favorably for me not to do that task and to have somebody else do it. Now, I might enjoy it, but there's also nobody else that can do these tasks over here. So, I have to do those urgent and essential things. So without that extra bit of support this week, and also not really enough time to interview and find a good chef that knows how to track macros, I'm probably just going to opt for convenience foods, frozen meals, things that are already prepared and ready at the grocery store. And I'm going to pray to the high heavens I can find some that don't have garlic and onion. So I know there are lots that are macro friendly. I've done multiple YouTube videos many years ago, and a lot of these products are still in existence today. There might be a few new flavors here and there, but we went through Walmart and Publix and went through the entire frozen food section of those supermarkets. And we pulled out the top 10 high protein, low calorie recipes or meals that would be appropriate for women. There's a lot of meal prep companies that cater to a higher caloric intake or women with very robust metabolisms, which is great. Kudos if you're somebody that eats 2,500 calories a day. Makes life so much easier. But if you're on 1,300 calories a day, which some people are, then there are just far fewer options available. But there were food products at Publix and at Walmart in the frozen store that fit. They were like between 280 and like 400 calories per meal. Now, some might say 280 calories isn't enough for a meal, and I would normally agree with you. But for myself right now as a competitor, and these are my macros, that's what I'm dealing with. I could choose to have higher calories and not diet, but I am right now. So, you can't really make that argument. So I think that will be on my to-do list over the next 24 hours. I've got a couple of things that I managed to prep late on Sunday night before I drove to Tampa and then flew back. I got meatballs made and some grilled chicken. So I'm probably going to be having a wrap with meatballs and some fat-free cheese. And I don't know, if I can find some like roasted peppers or some tomato or something and make a little salad. That might be the extent of my lunch today. So I'm not looking forward to that. But I have Greek yogurt and I have some other things just in the fridge, and that's probably what we'll do. So over to my training, let's have a look here. So my volume came in this past week at 106, which is comparable to previous weeks. If we go back and have a look at weeks, let's say 1 all the way through to previous, we've had 112, 115, 100, 127, 89, 114, 105, 106, 130. This was a week where I didn't track volume, so we can't include that one. This was a week where I didn't track volume. Those were my Australia weeks. So 106 is kind of probably a little bit below the mean. So it's not terrible, but it's not my best week. And the other thing that you can see here is that my energy expenditure was down this past week. So it came in at 1961, but if you look at my previous week's energy expenditure for those same tracked workouts, same programs, I was up at 2100, 2200, 22. This one I didn't track one of my workouts, so we can't include that. Same here, I was sick, had COVID, 22, 21. So it is a little bit lower. Now, I could look at this and get really freaked out and be like, oh no, I've lost weight, I've lost muscle, I'm not burning as many calories. Or, I could have just been a little bit off in terms of my tracking on my watch. I feel like some of these sessions, especially there's one here where I was filming. So on Sunday session, I don't think I started my watch on time. I was a little bit distracted. So I probably missed the first two exercises and then was like, 7 exercises, 8 exercises, tracked is better than none. So it could just be due to those little errors, as I do recall that happening. But it's interesting to make note. I have a brand new program that I'll be starting this week. So Miss Bikini Olympia Part 3, that will be available on my new app, BF Fit. Which we will be, pushing to the wider community probably next week. I'm excited to get people on board for our Spring into Summer Challenge, and they will have full access to this and will kind of be the guinea pigs. I don't want thousands and thousands of people on this app immediately. I want to see that everybody freaking loves it. They've got really positive feedback, and then I'm going to be like, okay, drop the bomb, we will push the marketing, we'll get the paid ads going, and then we'll bring all the people in. So anyway, Miss Bikini Olympia Part 3 is coming. That is a really cool program. I have lots of cool different training, intensity techniques, tempos, different fancy methods. Again, they're not like, I say this from the perspective that it's interesting and exciting. It keeps it novel, keeps you motivated and showing back up in the gym. Again, there's very little advantage of doing, a regular set with no tempo adjustments, no range of motion adjustments. It's just full range, straight through. That can be just as effective as these fancy methods. It's just, people like to try new things and stay motivated. So that program definitely has a lot of these if you're an advanced lifter that's looking for some fun change-ups. HIIT cardio, I got one of my sessions in this week and managed to get to the caloric goal. Normally I would have done another one over the weekend, but as I said, it was just back-to-back chockers filming, 7 a.m. getting up to kind of tidy up my writing, get everything prepped and set up for film days. then training sessions after. Like I was gassed and not really finishing until like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So didn't have the bandwidth to continue to do the second session, but maybe I will this week. Then I also got through all of my walking, and my weekly average steps came in at 10,000. So I'm pretty happy with that. You can see my caloric expenditure is pretty consistent there. The one where I have a cross is when I forgot to start my timer. I unintentionally started a walk at the gym. I thought I'd just read a couple of emails, and that turned into a 50-minute walk of responding to things that were pressing. So I didn't end up even initiating a walk on my watch because I was distracted. So that is my week and my progress. You can see here, if we come over to this past week, I was supposed to be hitting 130 by now, and I am still sitting around this 134 number. So I'm really glad that I gave myself a little bit of extra wriggle room for this prep, just with the inability to kind of show up and do everything perfectly. And that's what I would expect for my clients as well. Like if someone signs up to do 12 weeks and it's a fat loss goal, I'm not going to say to them, yeah, we're going to get from here to here in 12 weeks and that's exactly where you're going to come out. You have to expect road bumps. You have to expect some obstacles, some struggles, some challenge. You're not going to do it perfectly. I might be able to calculate everything perfectly, but it would be totally unrealistic to have that expectation. So I am 4 pounds behind, which is not a whole lot. And that 4 pounds is probably right where I need to be for show ready. So let's talk about shows. Woohoo! Okay, so over to shows. So I am on the NPC News Online website and I am looking at their schedule. Now, there are lots and lots of shows that I could do. I am hesitant to do anything in early April because that's only like a couple of weeks away. And I only recently got my heels. I had to replace them because they were too small. I only just got my practice trunks. I haven't got my proper bikini or anything just yet. So there's still a lot of things I have to get organized. That does not happen overnight. So I want to make sure that I've had time to pose and practice and feel really comfortable in those. So with that being said, I think end of April is probably what I'm shooting for. So about a month almost from today or tomorrow. The first one that kind of springs to mind would probably be the NPC Clash series. This is the Girl Power Championships and it's in Orlando. So that's obviously nice and close to where I am. It's a quick flight away. And it will give me an opportunity to basically get feedback from the judges as to whether I need to shrink or whether keep going, you're doing great, your physique's awesome, work on these couple of things. And then from there, I will probably want to do like a national show and try and get a pro card basically. So I haven't looked at that far ahead yet. I want to just get this first one out of the way. And then once I've got that judge's feedback, I will be able to kind of make some decisions around which show I might show up and do, I guess, one of the national shows next. So that is the competition. So I know a few people were like, oh, where are you competing? We're going to come watch. This will probably be the one. So stay tuned to these videos. I'll obviously post more about it on Instagram, but that's the one I'm getting excited for. Now, let's go and take a look at questions on YouTube. So there are lots. So I think the first one here is from a user with a very long name that I'm not going to try and discuss, but it says, "Hi Holly, I just started listening to your videos and I'm very inspired by your journey. I'm learning so much. I just started a calorie deficit phase and the goal of fat loss. What modifications would you recommend to women following your program who are postmenopausal?" So I'm not sure which program you are referring to specifically, as I have so many. If it's one of these free programs, it's more recent, then I will go ahead and make my conversation around those as opposed to like all the ones that exist in our workout app, because there are literally hundreds. So I think for my specific programs and for somebody that is jumping in who is postmenopausal, I would say that the overall program itself obviously needs to make sure that it is specific enough to your goals. My goals are grow my shoulders, grow my glutes. So if those two things align, then the program's going to be great for you. I guess the next thing to consider is, outside of the muscle group specificity, would be the program frequency. and then the program duration. So for me, I can only train 4 days. So technically, if I was somebody else and I had 5 days or 6 days to train, I would actually spread out my training volume a little bit more so that the sessions weren't so long. But I'm really limited with the number of days that I can be in the gym. So it's just inevitable. So if you are following either the Bikini Olympia program or my glutes and shoulders work, and they are condensed into 4 days, then have no hesitation at spreading all of that volume out, so that those sessions are a little bit shorter. It'll just make for a more enjoyable experience in the gym. You're not kind of like, oh my God, I've still got 3 or 4 exercises to go. I certainly feel that way with the programs at the moment, but I get it done, and it does give me 3 extra days out of the gym. Now, in terms of, I guess, like navigating, fat loss, if you are menopausal, then what's really interesting is that there isn't anything like specifically, mysterious about, aging, and that all of a sudden you, gain all this body fat with no physiological reasons or justification behind it. Your metabolism doesn't just naturally, drop off. What can happen is that with aging, as our lifestyle choices change, as our dietary preferences, as our dietary preferences change, we tend to engage in less activity, and more, I guess, calorically dense, decadent food. And that can be, less favorable when it comes to losing body fat. Now, the other thing that's problematic is that as we age and our sex hormones change, so testosterone tends to reduce, estrogen levels tend to fall, progesterone also tends to kind of bounce around all over the place, also tends to lower a little bit. That combination of hormone changes also subjectively leaves us feeling really energy deprived. We don't have a whole lot of energy, and thus, if you're not feeling great, why would we want to go and train hard at the gym, which would be conducive for building muscle? So if your hormones are outside of the normal reference ranges, I think the first thing that I would recommend doing is going to an endocrinologist, getting all of your blood work done, a comprehensive metabolic panel, and all of your sex hormones, just to find out if there is anything that is clinically low that needs medical attention. I had that problem in 2022 and all of 2023. I had multiple rounds of blood work where my testosterone levels were sitting at about a 5 or somewhere between 5 and 7 micromoles per deciliter, which is well below normal. And at the time, I was only 33 and 34. And then, I went about it and made multiple modifications to my diet, got my calories back up, put on body fat. I was back up at 20% body fat, 22% body fat, which is otherwise healthy for females. Tried to reduce my stress as best as I could. Obviously, the situation was a little challenging. But I did everything in my means to fix that, and nothing changed. So, even me at age 35 now, like, I have to have testosterone replacement therapy. I'm on a therapeutic dose to get me back up to where all the other women are naturally. It's great. So it is really frustrating, and that can definitely influence your overall day-to-day energy levels and just your capacity to, perform well, train hard, show up, and be consistent. So I think that's one thing that is really common for a lot of women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And that's like my niche. That's who I work with. So I am no stranger to those kinds of conversations. So I think in terms of navigating fat loss, there isn't anything like wildly unique or different that you'd have to do from, somebody that is not going through menopause. Creating a calorie deficit is still the same. Protein target still the same, though I would encourage women, over the age of 40 to kind of err on the higher side of that recommended reference range than the lower side, just because of muscle sarcopenia. As we get a little bit older, we are not able to, signal muscle growth as effectively under the same stimulus as our, former 20-year-old self. So protein modification does need to adjust slightly, but doesn't have to be crazy. And then all the other recommendations about, training volume, we shoot for optimal, but then there's just what you can do. So I hope that answers your question. I think in terms of my actual program, you don't really need to make a whole lot of adjustments. The rep ranges that I use in my more recent programs are probably favorable for women too that are, aging, and we're being more mindful and caring towards our bones and joints and things like that. So, when I was younger, in my early mid to late 20s, I was doing a lot more powerlifting. I was really interested in having strength goals, loved it. It was also really hard, but loved it. But as we get older, our joints, our tendons, ligaments, they're not as able to accommodate and recover as they did when we were younger. So I have geared away a little bit from doing those like lower rep ranges, strength-based, heavy load training. Now my programs are, higher, moderate to higher rep ranges, to kind of, protect our joints a little bit more, as they tend to be the things that become compromised under heavy load, less so our muscle. So yeah, I think my program would be perfectly reasonable, but with those caveats. Okay, if your maintenance calories are 1600, are you doing a decent amount of cardio per week? You are looking great. My cardio is 10,000 steps per day, and I do, if I can, 600 calories of extra cardio throughout the week, and that could be HIIT or LISS. I personally choose HIIT just because I'm time poor. It makes more sense for me to get maximum caloric expenditure per minute of time, per unit of time, compared to going out and doing, something that's low intensity. It's going to take me many more hours to rack up the same number of calories. So I hope that answers your question. And my maintenance calories are really low at the moment, but I'm also a pretty small person now, or at least in terms of my body fat percentage, it's getting close to 10%. So, naturally there is less weight to kind of carry around. My body has to do a lot less work now, just performing the same day-to-day activities, walking to my car, going and getting the mail, doing the groceries, cleaning my house. My body is burning less calories because it's not having to carry as much weight anymore. So, this number is getting pretty low. What have we got here? I tend to notice on the weekends I am a lot more attracted to the sweets and high-calorie cocktails, coolers, etc. Any options or ingredient substitutes that you recommend to still have and enjoy a drink without accidentally having 300 plus calories on the weekend? So I think last week I talked about, I still try to make it a priority to enjoy myself if I go out, and I just make sure that I do careful planning so that I can have the thing on the menu that I want. However, as you get to those lower numbers, 2 cocktails quickly makes up, it's almost half of my daily calorie intake. No, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to eat my fuel. I want to eat carbohydrates. I want to perform. I want to feel good. So I'm a lot more selective now, 12 weeks in, than I was at week 1 through 6. But here's what I do. I still try to enjoy the foods that I'm choosing and beverages. I've historically just ordered like vodka, lime, and soda. But what I found was I'd have a vodka, lime, and soda, or I have 2. Sure, you might get the little bit of the relaxing buzz, the social, lubricant. Just for me, it was switch off from business. But I also was like, this is so unsatiating. Like, it's so gross. Like, I hated it. Like, who actually likes vodka, lime, and soda? If you do, give me your taste buds. Let's trade. I don't like it. I think it's gross. I must have a really sweet tooth though, admittedly. So what I thought was, okay, if I'm going to have something, why don't I make it palatable? So I started ordering things just off the menu, like from their nice, cocktail classics and their specials. But I'm now starting to have to make a few tweaks to that. So instead of, using the agave or the honey, or the simple syrup or contra, like whatever their sweet, ingredient is, I will ask for them to either remove it if it's possible, or if it's already pre-mixed in the instance of like some kind of like a mango nectar, or they've got like a berry, like some kind of a berry juice, or it's like a thickened puree. I would just say, okay, well, it's already mixed in with simple syrup, or it's kind of already pre-made. Can you just give me a splash of that for color? And then I will add a sweetener sachet, which I will occasionally pack that in my purse, because not every restaurant has, like, they don't all make coffee. So they're not all carrying around little sachets of sweetener. So I'll put my little squeezy tube in my purse to kind of sweeten it. So That's what I do. I have avoided ones that are, I guess, juice heavy, soda heavy, like regular soda. Um, I have learned to enjoy, what's this beverage? It's on the tip of my tongue. I have like 15 different whiskeys and bitters in my cabinet right now because we were exploring like cocktail mixology. Oh my God, why can't I think of it? An old fashioned. So I bought us, we have a smoking kit with like different flavored cedar. So it was like apple, berry, all fun things. So I have learned to actually enjoy the flavor of an old fashioned, which is a little bit more like bang for your buck. And it tastes better, in my opinion, than like a plain vodka when you add in like your a little bit of sweetener and like the bitters for some flavor. And it has a cherry, and they do orange rind or lemon rind. It's really fun. So anyway, those are some of the things that I would recommend in terms of your weekend cocktails not costing you almost your entire day's calories. Next question. So, how can I build as much muscle as humanly possible? So I gave the recommendation to this person, Robin. Thank you so much for the question. First of all, go and take a look at my book. So again, I mentioned this at the beginning, the Complete Exercise Guide to Muscle Hypertrophy. This book will have everything that you possibly need to know about how to actually master your training. So that's the first thing. But she goes on to say that she has an autoimmune disease that attacks her muscles. So she needs to actually build more muscle, probably than the average person. So in this particular instance, and maybe you are somebody that also just wants to build as much muscle as humanly possible, like good on you, awesome. It just means that you need to train more like a professional athlete to optimize your growth. I think if you train like an average person who's showing up like 3 days a week, they're semi-committed, some of the training is structured, other times it's kind of go with the flow, train with a friend, do whatever, trades out cardio for lifting every now and then, like that's training like an average person, then there's training like an elite. And you probably just have less freedom to make mistakes and freedom for flexibility. So it is frustrating in this particular case because no one wishes anybody an autoimmune disease. But the reality is if you'd like to be able to acquire more muscle, in this particular predicament, you probably need greater caloric intake. I'm assuming that your autoimmune disease also increases your daily protein and energy intakes a little bit more than the average person. So you're probably needing to eat more fuel too to fuel and drive growth. And then in terms of, optimal weekly set number, probably needs to be at the higher end of that range to maybe get the same results as somebody that is, that doesn't have the same condition. So it sounds really frustrating, and I'm so sorry that you're having to kind of navigate that, extra work. But that would be my recommendation as to how to get the most out of your goal. Okay, so next question. I'm going to be having a tummy tuck and a breast augmentation, and was told that I won't be able to get back to having to heavy lifting for 3 months. My maintenance calories now are around 2,100. I'm 5'5" and 147 pounds. How can I calculate my new maintenance calories during that time? Also, how much muscle mass can I expect to lose? There's at least 6 weeks where I'll be able to start lifting around 10 pounds. So let's tackle the first part. So I'm really glad to see that your current maintenance calories are up in the 2,000s. That is great. What I would look at is what is your weekly combined energy expenditure from training. So much like what I do when I'm calculating all my training volumes, you can see here my weekly energy expenditure is around 3,975, and that's using my Apple Watch. Now, if we take that number and we divide it by 7, let me just pull my calculator out so we can do this together. 3,975 divided by 7. That means that each day, as an estimate by my watch, I am expending about 567 calories through activity. So if I'm going to be having a breast augmentation and a surgery where all of that goes away, bar maybe a little bit of incidental walking around the house, I need to reduce my calories by 567. So for you, you were at 21, you'd add up your total weekly energy expenditure, divide it by 7, and then subtract. So that's how I would navigate that. Second part of the question, how much muscle can I expect to lose in this time frame? So I would say that the amount of muscle that you can expect to lose in that time frame is about the amount of muscle you could expect to gain in the same time frame. So again, if we refer to, I guess, my book, which covers all of the realistic rates of muscle growth for natural athletes or natural individuals, it is underwhelming. Over 12 weeks, we can see or expect to see about 0.2 to 0.3 of a centimeter in terms of muscle thickness. So, in 6 weeks, half of that, we're probably looking at about 0.1 to 0.15 of a centimeter, sorry. So 1.5 millimeters is what you potentially would lose if you go cold turkey for 6 weeks. And honestly, like if you think about what that would look like across your body, like trying to visualize 1 mil, it's probably not something that you're going to see to the naked eye. What will potentially happen is if you continue to eat calories above your maintenance, you would gain some body fat temporarily. But I wouldn't be majorly concerned with, needing to take 6 weeks off to really allow for that initial recovery. Once you get started again, you can definitely get to failure using light weights. And again, this is where I would start to implement, things like blood flow restriction, high rep training, so that you're not overly excessively loading your spine. You're not doing anything that is dangerous in terms of your, augmentation. But you can still isolate certain muscle groups and take them to failure. And that means that you're back to training effectively almost immediately. So if that's something that you would like some support with, please don't feel free to reach out to myself or my coaching team. That's the perfect time to work with a coach to really learn the ins and outs and navigate, how to, get the most out of that time where you feel a little bit lost. So please feel free to head over to our website. You can gain some more details about one-on-one coaching. Okay, coming back down, are there any more questions? Please do a what do you eat in a day video, even if you just take pics and discuss it in your next video. I would love to, but this week my lunches have literally been on repeat and they're so boring. It was like bolognese mince inside a wrap with some cheese, and it was like every meal or every other meal. And then I made homemade breaded chicken tenderloins, and then that was served on like zucchini noodles, and then I would have Greek yogurt. Like that was literally my diet last week. It was horrific. So I'm very excited to get back to having some healthy food as of probably this evening. But I will endeavor to do a full vlog on a week where I have a bit more time and I can actually show you. This is how I would do it on a week that I feel good, or where it's more normal for me. Okay, someone says here they've been eating 500 or 600 calories for a few months, and they had increased to 700 and they gained about 1 to 2 kilos. What should I do? I'm getting very stressed. First and foremost, this calorie amount, as the person that commented here has suggested, is extremely low. This is well below, I don't know what your current body weight is, but I can't imagine that you are 30 kilos, because that would be the amount of calories that would be appropriate for that body weight. So I think that there is probably a lot of metabolic adaptation that's taken place here. I would say that you have a very low muscle mass to be on that low of a calorie amount for starters. But the initial increase in 1 to 2 kilos from a 100 calorie increase has nothing to do with body fat. That would be everything to do with replenishing your glycogen stores, total body water, eating more dietary fiber, getting more sodium in just from slightly more or slightly higher calories. I would doubt very much that there is any body fat regain in that initial 1 to 2 kilos. That's what we would expect when someone goes from a diet phase back into reverse dieting. People always say to me, I want to maintain my end of diet goal. And I'm like, but you're on an empty tank. Like, what happens when we start giving you carbs again? Like, you have the capacity to store carbs. You need to go somewhere that has a physical weight, not to mention all the water that will be then retained inside your muscle. And again, not body fat. So if we're strictly focusing on the scale, you're going to fail right off the gate. So we need to give flexibility when we transition from a fat loss phase to a reverse diet or to a muscle build, to accommodate those initial changes, to accommodate maybe increasing training volumes and some localized inflammation in those muscles. So for this person, I would actually reach out and let's get you working with a coach, whether it's myself or one of our team. We would love to help you. You mentioned that you think you are still too muscular for bikini. How will you get the muscle down to do bikini? So that's a really great question. I basically just answered this question before. I have to stop training those muscle groups, and I will need to give myself about as much time as it took me to build that muscle to, detrain, to atrophy. So I'd probably make some adjustments to the muscle groups that I'm training if there are particular muscle groups that are still too big for the category. And I would probably also diet like an asshole on those days. I wouldn't eat protein. I'd try to cause atrophy by making some, doing everything opposite to what would normally be recommended for muscle growth. So it sounds a little bit strange, but I'd probably end up doing a lot more cardio on, that muscle group. I would do very little resistance training. I wouldn't be replenishing with protein. I would be trying my damnness to cause atrophy. So a difficult process, but not an impossible one. It's definitely been done before. I've talked about the competition. This person guessed correctly. Yes, the clash. Make sure that if you were trying to download the free content, you just need to go to the comment section, the description, and all of the links are available. And if you're having trouble for whatever reason, please reach out to my team. Again, you can send us a support message from my website and get you downloaded with all access to those programs. What's a good portable food scale? I've been trying to find one. Well, let's go over to Amazon and I'll find one for you. Okay, so I have lots of these at home. Some of them are a little bit bigger. I probably got like this sized scale for my home, as probably many of you do as well. These aren't terrible to take in your handbag when you go to a restaurant if you want to weigh your food more precisely, but there are lots of smaller options available too. So this little one here is probably, the size of this pen. So it might be a little bit more discreet if you're looking for something that is small. This one also looks like it could be a really good option for being portable and allowing yourself to kind of sit something like a side plate or a side dish in a restaurant environment if you are at the point where you do need that level of accuracy to make sure that you are being compliant. So yeah, I think this one would probably be my preferred. It looks super slim. I've had it before. And it fits very nicely in most purses and even a clutch because it's so tiny. So that is everything for this week, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, if you have questions, feel free to drop me a question in the comment for the YouTube video. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching, myself and my team have a lot of different program options available to you, so you can find out all of those details by heading over to my website. We are in the middle of kicking off our spring into summer campaign. So I want to quickly show you that as it is something you can partake in. So you can see here on the screen, I have got all of the details for how to join the Spring into Summer Challenge. It's got all of the details of what's included, but we basically have an educational guide with an audio for convenience so that you can listen to the educational guide rather than have to read it. It also includes access to Be a Fit, our brand new training application, which is super exciting. You'll have all of my new programs and all of my old programs. We've got warm-ups, mobility, cardio-based workouts. Everything is included in the app. You'll get access to a weekly live Q&A session with myself. So you can either join that live or you can submit questions. I'll answer them anyway and they get sent back out after the fact. There's also our private Facebook group for those that need a little bit more support and accountability, and that is where I will be posting other useful resources, recipes, all of those good things. So lots of, stuff included in that platform. And of course, there are 3 different categories that you can sign up to. So fat loss, muscle building, and reverse dieting. And there, of course, are prizes to be won as well. So all of those details are listed here on the website. So if you want to get involved, you have until the 1st of April to get signed up. Again, you can do this as a DIY, follow along, do the challenge on your own with the educational materials, the audibles, and the Q&As. If you're a bit more experienced, that can be great. But if you'd like some additional support and accountability, you can also sign up and do this program, be in the draw to win by working with either myself or one of our coaches. So get signing up. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you at my next update.